This is Moon Rapid 1 to Red Leader. Over. Charlie Dark, what is your position? Sir, I'm approaching target. Captain, what is that thing? Maintain your current perimeter, Moon Rapid. Roger that, sir. It's so big. I thought it would grow so fast. Okay, it's changing direction towards the drive-in theater.
The Remco Movie Land Drive-In Theater is straight ahead. Here it is now, Betty. Today's double feature. Have Gun Will Travel and Heckle and Jekyll. It looks terrific, Jimmy. Drive right in and park. Let me show you how it works. Switch on the projector.
Rolling.
Behind me, as you can see, is the Grand Arcade at Asbury Park, also known as the Convention Hall. I'm here to cover the 3rd Asbury Park Comic Book Convention. Sadly, this may be the last Comic-Con held in this illustrious venue due to fire code regulations and an outdated sprinkler system.
I first learned about this proposed shutdown of shops in the arcade through a series of Asbury Park press articles. It seems a feud between the city and a company developing the boardwalk had erupted over parking meters. Uncertainty over the arcade's future caused the Garden State Film Festival's move to Atlantic City, which is a shame, considering Asbury Park's longtime status as a breeding ground for art and music. The Stone Pony opened in 1974. That bar's first house band included Southside Johnny, who'd formed the Asbury Jukes, and Stephen Van Zandt, later lead guitarist for Bruce Springsteen. The convention hall itself has hosted top-name performers: The Who, The Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, The Doors, Janis Joplin, Incubus, Stain, Van Halen, and Bob Dylan. Lynyrd Skynyrd played the hall shortly before their fatal plane crash, and Led Zeppelin appeared there in 1969 after turning down a spot at the Woodstock Fest. Not just a rock and roll venue, Convention Hall featured stars from R&B such as The Temptations, Otis Redding, Ray Charles, and James Brown. Rapper 50 Cent has also appeared. But Asbury Park's history is marked with racial turmoil. In 1956, fights broke out at an integrated concert featuring Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. Tensions boiled over again in the summer of 1970 with a series of riots. This once placid seaside resort went into decline. As the city struggles to make a comeback, events like today's Comic-Con, organized by writer-artist Cliff Galbraith, are an important part of that recovery. Many don't realize the hard work and preparation that goes into staging an event of this size. Hundreds of people are involved, swarming about like a beehive, loading and unloading merchandise and equipment. And while they did their job, I did mine. Okay, here we go. First interview of the day.
Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
What is your comic book fantasy?
I don't really do comics. Me and my partner do antique toys and collectibles, old wind-ups. So,
Just my luck.
I don't really deal with comics.
Let me try this, young woman.
What is your comic book fantasy?
To be quite honest, we don't really deal with too much of comic books. We're more toy dealers, so I don't know if I can help you with that one.
Oh, great. Another one. Maybe I can salvage this.
But what is your comic book fantasy?
Probably something with music. I'm a musician also, so I would say music would definitely be in there.
What do you play?
Play guitar, drums, and a little bit of piano.
Do you have a band?
Yes, Michael and I also have a band called Christina Scarelli and the Fever.
Very cool.
As setup continues, we go to roving reporter Lefty Grimes.
This is Lefty Grimes, here at the Comic-Con.
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Oh crap, I sat on the remote. Here, I got it.
Asbury Park, 2013. This is the load-in. Let me talk to a few people loading in today. Lots of stuff everywhere.
Too much stuff.
Are you one of the vendors today?
Yes.
How you doing?
All right.
What's your name?
I'm Rafer Roberts. How you doing?
How you doing? What do you be showing today? Anything good?
Do a book called Plastic Farm.
Plastic Farm.
A couple collections out.
Cool.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy? I'd like to be able to fly.
Where would you go?
Anywhere. You can fly.
Awesome. Look at that. Flux capacitors and everything. That's sweet. Woo, baby. Wow. How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
The busy bees continue buzzing. In a couple hours, this dark, silent arena would be transformed into a gallery of vivid images and immense talent. A marketplace for collectibles and original artwork.
You have arrived.
1,000 last-minute details needed attention to ensure everyone would have a safe and entertaining day.
What I need you to do, I just need you to be on center. Probably this slot past here is going to be one of the costume contests on the stage. Okay? And then, whether it is or not, tell me there's less than a quarter tank here, right?
Our first costume sighting was a fur-coated Harley Quinn impersonator. The exhibitors, many of them artists, were there early.
My comic book fantasy? Wow. Probably be to illustrate Swamp Thing. It's my favorite book of all time. Probably would be the fantasy job.
Look at that tie, Captain America, baby. Are you here? Are you a vendor, or are you speaking, or?
I'm an artist.
I'm sorry.
Bellman. I work for Stanley.
Oh, thank you, sir. I'm so glad to meet you.
My name is Megan Gale. I used to put out a book called Rock Candy about 10 years or so ago. Been doing it for a while. Used to work at Steve's Comic Relief in Tom's River way back in the day.
On a hunch, I decided to visit Steve's Comic Relief in Tom's River and check out the story of this Megan Gale, if that is in fact her real name. Are you the owner?
What are you, IRS?
No, I'm with the female body inspectors.
Are you? I thought that was my job, but okay. I didn't realize I was fired.
I want to ask you a question. I met a young woman who claims her name is Megan Gale, and she says that she used to work here a long time ago. Back in the day, whatever that means.
Back in the day, yeah, there was a Megan. You're going to probably go back 10 plus years. One thing about Megan that sticks in my mind is that she had a very good understanding of how to merchandise a store. And one of her ideas was sticking a table outside the front door with a bunch of merchandise and sell it on the cheap to try to drive traffic through the store. And she had a bunch of other ideas that we've implemented over the years. But yeah, she was sharp. She was a good girl. She was a great person to have in here. Very knowledgeable, respectful with the customers. Her work was exemplary.
Okay, she checks out. Apparently the Ocean and Monmouth County area has spawned some talented artists.
No, I lived here a good many years, Ocean Township. It's good to be home.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Oh, geez, a cell phone today?
I don't like it. Who are you with?
I read through a book called Hostile Environment. It's I live in town. I've lived all over this area. It's like a 70s Doctor Who style.
Doctor Who? What? No. Not no, I said what. Well, who's what? What is what? That's who. But I thought you said, now cut that out.
Goonies comedy that takes place in the area, and I get to get some digs in about things that I like and don't like about the way things work out around here.
The fans began lighting up outside. I've learned from experience it's best to play along and not upset their delusion. Harley Quinn.
Hi.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Jumping out of a big pie for Mr. J.
What is your comic book fantasy? What is your comic book fantasy?
I don't think it's fit for public consumption.
Anybody? Comic book fantasy? Anybody with a good comic book fantasy? Wow. You are the lamest bunch of nerds I have ever met in my life. My assistant director, Jan O. Solinsky, arrived in disguise. What is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? I have no comic book fantasies. I'm not I'm a business owner, not a fanboy.
And here's Ming. How you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Right.
Are we filming?
Of course.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Asbury Park Comic Con over here. You have the 6'6" Batmobile. Means it's a con. Means it's a con. It's like 8 in the morning, you see a Batmobile. Like, every day should be like this. Right?
Now you can be Batman in your very own Batmobile by Marx.
Have a great day.
Lefty forgot to ask the question. Fortunately, we had another reporter on site.
Jason Harms, come in, Jason Harms. Calling Jason Harms. Do you read me? Do you read me?
Coar. Coar,
What, Jason? What? Jason, Ming. We just saw Ming.
Ming here?
Lefty was interviewing Ming. You forgot to ask the question.
Ming? He's got the question? I need the question.
You gotta get inside. He's getting away.
He's getting away?
You gotta get inside as fast as you can.
He forgot the question.
Ask Ming the question.
I'm going. I gotta go.
I'm not paying for that.
Hey there, Ming. I'm
Welcome
Jason.
to the Asbury Park Comic Con. Jason, how you doing?
Good. Hey, do you have a comic book fantasy that you'd like to talk about?
A comic book fantasy? I mean, is it what kind of show is this? Is this PG or is
it? We're keeping it lively for the kids.
I think I've gone on. Oh, we are. I mean, I've gone. You know, oh man. Well, all right. You always want to meet Batman, Superman. Maybe go out on dress up as Robin one night and see if I could do it. See if I could fight crime for one night alongside Batman. He's the safety net. Batman. If I screw up, he'll if I fall off a building, he'll catch me.
He always carries those cool toys.
Yes. I mean, I guess the other fantasy would involve pick a name: Zatanna, Caitlin Fairchild.
Hey.
Yeah.
I think I would go as Kato.
Or
the Mexican Kato.
Kato, yes. Yeah, Kato. I have the look for Kato. I have a costume.
Yeah.
I was talking about wearing the Kato costume today, but.
What is your comic fantasy?
Just a big bag of money.
And I would love to totally meet Rick from The Walking Dead.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely, yeah. Rick Grimes, be a partner of his. He's a good guy, and I think that me and him together, being leaderships.
I want to meet Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn?
Yeah, I want to know her secrets.
How long have you been going out with the Joker?
For about 49 years now.
Comic book fantasy?
Yeah.
From my brother.
We're doing a movie, a little documentary. It's called The Comic Book Fantasy.
Right.
And we're trying to find out what comic book fantasies people have who are interested in comic books, is what the whole thing is all about. Do you have one?
Well, I don't know. It's rough because...
I get a lot of people who want to fly. I get a lot of sidekicks. I want to be a sidekick.
I want to be, I want to heal quick and have adamantium claws.
Such as Wolverine?
Yeah, such as Wolverine.
Are they going to be steel, or can you go with like an animal claw? How about extended fingers? What are you looking for?
They got to pop out.
Oh, you're looking for like more of excitement kind of thing.
They got to pop out.
Ah, he's a popper. All right.
I worked in California at first, freelance.
Okay.
Like for the studios, then when the studios opened up here, moved back here. Some East Coast guys.
Yeah, he's being a little humble right now. But when he moved back here was because his show was the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Cowabunga!
He was a storyboard artist.
Oh, really?
On that, and probably design. He did all kinds of stuff there for like how many seasons?
What was your name again?
Ed Nebris.
Ed
Yeah, Nebris.
Nebris.
Nebris is the important name.
Oh, Nebris?
Yeah. Nebres and Google that.
Nebres.
Yeah. You could skip Melvin, go straight to Rudy and Edwin.
Rudy and Edwin.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, good enough. Thanks, gentlemen.
While Jason and Lefty conducted interviews, Jen acted as our crew's official still photographer.
Look at this line. Look at this line. Everybody's waiting to come in. What is your comic book fantasy?
To cut off your face and eat it.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Our reporter Jason Harms went undercover as a costume nerd to infiltrate the contest that would be held later.
What is your comic book fantasy?
To actually go around hunting with Wolverine.
Hunting with Wolverine. Cool. Nice. And hunting what? Anything in particular?
Anything, actually.
Anything that bleeds.
Exactly.
Can I ask you, what is your comic book fantasy? You don't know? I can come back to you. Do you have one, sir?
Hanging out with Spider-Man.
Jason dressed up as El Pandito, a comic book character I'd created.
We go in about 2 hours, so we should get there near sundown. Keep your eyes open. Sign of bandits.
I'm on it. If any come round, I know just how to handle them.
Oh yeah? How so?
Simple. We divide and conquer.
Did you learn that in history class?
Oh, from my math teacher.
Just keep your peepers peeled.
I am, brother. Slim, up ahead.
Hulk, in the name of El Pandito.
You kind of fell asleep at the switch there, did you?
Off day.
Senor Chance Brothers, we meet again. Throw on your pistols and dismount the stage, so I will be on my way.
We're surprised to see you alone, Pandy.
We heard you've been riding with the Badger boys.
Badgers? I don't know stinking badgers.
Well, I reckon we should have seen that gator coming.
Yep. Okay, Slim. Routine 6.
No! Take cover in them rocks!
Slim, crouch down before you get your head blowed clean off.
Crouch?
Yep, get low to the darn ground.
I don't understand.
Duck.
Rabbit?
I mean stoop.
You're a stoop.
You gotta get down.
Get funky.
Just squat.
What's that?
Well, I guess you don't know squat.
Oh, I got you now. You want me to hunker?
Yep, hunker, not coward. Damn idiot.
Vamos! Hija!
I'm left-handed. What do you want? No, are you? Oh, I was totally expecting that to come from my left side.
I'm sure you had it coming.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy. Probably to live in them.
Which one?
Most likely Deadpool.
Deadpool?
Yeah.
Nice.
Mark with a mouth.
Nice. Do you have a comic book fantasy, sir?
Probably involves the Supergirl clone. What's her name? The white one in the white costume.
Which one?
Fuck. On camera, I can't remember her name.
He's gonna remember 5 seconds after you leave.
Yeah.
No, the Supergirl's clone, the one in the white costume.
Oh,
Power Girl.
Power Girl. Thank you.
Power Girl.
Nice.
Hey, birds! So I guess the glasses could be known for the black.
So I hope that's okay.
Sorry. It's not beard hair, it's pubic hair.
That wouldn't be the first time, right?
She's gross. Your jokes are disgusting.
Ha! Chen dis Jason. Okay, back to work. What is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? Let's see. I don't know, if I could be a superhero, that would be awesome. If I could fly, actually.
Do you have a particular one you would like to be?
I would like to be Catwoman. I'd have to look like her though, but she's pretty awesome. And she like looks really good, so.
You look good.
Oh, thank you. Not as good as her. Her body's like perfect. I'd have to work years to look like that, or even like clothes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your comic book fantasy?
I guess just the Marvel Universe, because I really like that much. That's just me, you know, just of his Deadpool and all. That's, my fantasy, you know.
Jason brought spy glasses with a hidden camera in them for this deep undercover assignment.
Yes?
Alright, give me 1 sec.
Sure, we need an ID.
No. No ID.
Right on. How are you?
Good, how are you? Okay, so your real name? I know exactly.
Jason.
I love that. Last name?
Harms, like in harm's way.
Who are you, Don Quixote?
El Pendido.
I don't know who that is.
You will.
Back to you, Lefty.
I'm wearing my naked man costume. Let's see if I get kicked out for this. I'm covered up with tape, so I'm not showing anything.
Had a lot of sign-ins yet?
Not too many yet. So, all right, Pendito. Sign anywhere on the left? Yeah, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Quick question.
Yes?
What is your comic book fantasy?
Oh, jumping out of the pie for the Joker.
Well, so far I didn't get any strange looks from anybody. So I may get away with wearing this outfit in there, because nobody's looking at me funny yet.
Do you have a comic book fantasy?
I don't know, one guy asked me that before, and I was like, I don't know, I'd rather...
Talking about the little guy in the wheelchair?
What?
The guy in the wheelchair?
Yeah.
He's a thief.
Oh,
that guy.
Really?
No, we're together.
Oh, I'm like, wait, no, you seem really cool. What did I say? I told him that I wanted to fly. I was like, if I could be like Catwoman, though. She shouldn't fly, but still, I don't know. It was like all these different things.
Almost a flying Catwoman then.
Flying Catwoman.
I made sure I covered up my penis, and let's see how far we get. I am dying to see what kind of looks I get.
Check 1, check 2, check 3.
Whoa!
Welcome everybody. Welcome. It's a beautiful day, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Welcome to the Asbury Park Comic Con. Just want to thank you all for being so patient. It's a very long line out there. You folks who bought your tickets early, you're so smart. We love you. I just want you to know that there is a second floor with over 70 artists and vendors. So make your way up the stairs and see everybody.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Not what I'm standing next to, that's for sure.
Would you be a female villain or a hero? Or yeah? Who would you be? Anybody specifically?
Nobody, I'd be myself.
Oh, nice. What would you do? Anything?
Fly.
Nice.
I want to fly.
He's my super duper dream man.
So far, I haven't been arrested yet. So far, I have not been arrested yet. Nobody's giving me a hard time. I'm actually amazed. I'm amazed I got in this far. But I do have my penis covered up. My penis is covered up, so I shouldn't have any problems, but we'll see.
How's it going today?
What is your comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy? Oh, man. Take this damn mask off.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Yes, you do. You want to meet Nightwing.
Get her a comic book fantasy.
I will work on that.
Every girl needs one.
Scheduled panel will begin approximately at 10:45. It's being held at the Wonder Bar. The Wonder Bar is the facility that is directly across, going east, has a Big Tilly sign up top.
How are you doing?
Good, man.
What is your comic book fantasy?
What is my comic book fantasy?
I just asked you that.
I don't know.
Comic book fantasy. Probably biker nights, I would have to say. They gotta do something with that.
Nice. What would you do? What would you do with them?
What would I do? Team them up with Ninja Turtles.
Now let's stop right here a moment. For anyone not paying attention, this guy is going to notice Lefty is wearing a huge cloth wang in...
Other than that, I don't know. Me? Oh, man.
Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Not really.
No?
Just, I'm here to cover the event for a magazine.
Oh, cool.
I don't know anything. He's got to tell me.
Let's see how far we get with this costume. I don't know. Let's see how far we get with this before I get arrested today. I don't know. I'm covered up. You can't see anything, right? You can't see anything. No, I'm good. I'm covered up. A little bush. That's okay. That's all right.
Everyone's got it.
I think I'm okay. I'm not going to get arrested.
How are you doing?
I'm a psychic.
You're psychic?
Yes.
You know what I'm going to ask you?
What's your future?
What is your comic book fantasy?
Oh, God. I don't know. I thought about it. What's yours?
To be
Batgirl.
Holy femininity.
No. For you to be Batgirl.
Batgirl, yeah?
Okay.
Alright, I'll take it. I'll be Batgirl.
You go, Batgirl.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, sir, can I ask you a question? What is your comic book fantasy?
To destroy all comic books.
AMC's Comic Book Men kicked off Q&As at the Wonder Bar.
How did that show come about? Well, according to Kevin, he said that there was a woman, Elise, who's an exec producer on Red State, and I guess she was friends with Charlie, right?
Yes.
Original Media?
Yes, one of the producers of the show.
Yeah, and I guess somebody had an idea for a reality or unscripted show in a comic book store, and they mentioned it to Kevin, and Kevin said, hey, I have a comic book store. If you want to make the pilot, you can, use my store. Next question. Oh, okay, film that too.
This is for all of you. Now, can I ask you what your comic book fantasy is? Anybody can go first.
Why does rock and roll fantasy sound so much cooler?
You look familiar. Didn't you just ask me this half an hour ago?
The other guy did.
Mike, come on.
What, a comic book fantasy?
Yes. Either real or imagined, or
I would hope it's imagined. Yeah, I really want to catch an asteroid, man. Save the Earth. No.
What is true comic fanboys? It doesn't go to the girl. It's like, I'm gonna catch an asteroid.
Says the guy who has clown rape in his movie. Where did you go, Brian? Wrong. I never thought about that question. I never want to think about that question. It's pretty cool. Let me being a superhero. What's my?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
If you're a superhero.
I'm gonna save the girl. Yeah, catching Lois Lane falling from a skyscraper. That's awesome.
So now,
cutting her in half.
So now, what's her name, Mary Jane, or whoever who actually died?
No.
Awesome. Thank you.
I don't think anyone else answered the question.
Are you done? Are you done?
I don't read comics, man. I'm sorry. Yes.
Too busy getting into somebody else's headspace.
It was funny that he said like you didn't go to the girl, because I was like, yeah, I was totally getting every female superhero. We're going all the way. Yeah, like a troop of Amazons. Here we go. I think my fantasy would be to ride bitch on the back of Barbara Gordon's bike and roll Batman.
theme song playing in the background.
Excellent.
Your host, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Wow, I feel good.
Yes.
Hi, my question's for
Back at the arcade, things were rolling full steam. Tables piled with memories drew a crowd, anxious to fill out a collection or maybe stumble across some forgotten plastic gem.
What's your comic book fantasy?
What is your comic book fantasy?
I asked you second, since you asked me first.
Egads, I've been hoisted upon my own petard. I'm petarded.
What?
I want to not be petarded.
That and sleeping with Batgirl.
No joke.
Anyway, enough with Batgirl. I haven't seen my Wonder Woman of an assistant Jen in a while. Wait, there she is.
Jen,
Yes.
say hello.
Hi.
What is your comic book fantasy?
I'd like to see a strong female character who isn't in sexually revealing clothing and who actually stands up for herself and is her own sexual agent and kicks men's asses.
So basically the complete opposite of mine.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kick man's ass? I better keep an eye on this one. Wait, she's gone again. Oh, there she is. And she's gone again. How does she do that? She's like a ninja. The new Justice League.
Comic book fantasy, so that's a question you're not going to just ask the comic book man.
I'm interested in comic books.
comic book fantasy is probably to have a goth character that actually doesn't like do much, but actually like finds a life that he's accepted, as opposed to having it where every time he has to go out to an office or place, he always has to change his look and his style.
Comic book fantasy is this: to be Batman.
You are Batman.
With Batgirl and assorted. I have 4 cat women of varying degrees of hotness, and this is it. You know,
awesome.
Yeah, took a childhood passion, and now it's an adult dream. And my buddy over here owns the Batmobile. Our other buddy that builds them is on his way, and it works. Flames shoot out the back. We drive it around. We might drive it around later.
Holy harvest, Batman! Good to be out in the country. Batman! Robin! Hi, Mr. Brown. Robin and I were hoping we could buy a snack. This is the place to get some great ones.
It's street legal.
It is. It is.
It's great, man.
It is. You might see us out there later. We might drive down to Stone Pony for a cold.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
What's your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? I really do have one. It's,
What is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy?
Yes.
Probably has something to do with robots, because I'm obsessed with robots. Totally.
Ideal's Robot Commando is here to help you. He's your one-man army.
No comments.
No? How about you? Comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy. What do you mean, like something I wish could happen?
Yes.
The Hulk. That'd be awesome. To be the Hulk would be awesome.
Oh. And what would you do as the Hulk?
What would I do as the Hulk? Break a lot of stuff. No, because, you know, you watch the Hulk and it's always like, the best stories were when he like picked up tanks and threw them through walls and stuff. That'd be awesome. Of course, deal with it the next day, not my comic book fantasy. But the Hulk, definitely the Hulk.
A peaceful day in the Honeycomb hideout is suddenly interrupted by...
The Hulk!
A big Hulk wants big cereal!
I dress up in a hockey mask and play drums. To make that kind of come alive with my little, my idiosyncrasies with my band and all my complaining, and then ultimately to get to rock and roll immortality, trying to get on the stage as this character.
Is he a good guy or a bad guy?
He's a good guy.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. And he works as a janitor, and he keeps a low profile at the theater to take care of the business, to make sure the theater's in working order. And then at night he sneaks away and goes to an underground club and dresses up as a hockey head, trying to get his frustration out, and then he winds up getting into situations. It's quite
wow,
like the...
that's great.
I've thought about it for a great deal. I'm actually going to try to pitch it to You Created Comics, because they have a comic book contest.
Oh, okay.
Where artists and composers and people who write, writers get together and they pitch a comic book deal to Kevin Smith.
To live out a scenario, like a survival series, like not like an end of a world type Armageddon, to live in that sort of world.
My comic book fantasy? I don't have one.
You don't have one?
No,
you sure?
No, I draw. I am. Fantasy, right?
Thank you, sir.
Fearless Dawn.
Yes.
Buy them.
Nice.
God, buy it. Fearless Dawn, dude. God, Fearless Dawn.
Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Yes.
Can I ask you what your comic book fantasy is?
I'll go off of my dream of swimming with giant sea animals, like being some kind of surfer like that, like owning sea. And land, like for land, being like some like parkour.
A park what now?
Very good.
Just flying. I would like to be able to fly.
Say, kids, what is it up in the sky? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Superman. Yes, sir, kids, a real flying Superman that can be yours. Looks just like Superman himself. He's made of tough blue plastic and has a bright red cape that fits on his shoulders.
Your comic book fantasy is flying?
Yes.
With anybody in particular, or by yourself, or?
Just being able to physically do it, that'd be awesome.
Very good. Thank you.
I don't think it's lame. It's better than Armageddon.
I don't want to leave you out. Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Probably to take down like an epic showdown between like Iron Man, Batman. Oh, let's see. Let's throw in some Aquaman.
King of the Seven Seas.
And give me another one.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. Excellent.
Let's go.
That would be awesome, just to watch it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. How would it end? Would it end badly?
Yeah, they'd all die. And then I'd be left standing.
Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Yes.
Good, bad, or indifferent? Just general comic book fantasy? I don't really have a comic book fantasy. I've done all the sick and twisted shit that I've ever wanted to do.
Supergirl, maybe? Wonder Woman?
Been there, done that.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy. To slaughter people in mass.
Wow. Would you be any particular character?
X-23.
X-23?
Yes.
Oh my god. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Awesome.
I have fantasies, but they have nothing to do with comic books. That I can tell you. I've never dreamt of comic books in my entire life. That's a guarantee.
Well, you own enough of them.
Hence the reason why I don't dream about them.
Johnny Depp, can I ask you a question? What's your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? Oh my god. I guess just to be a comic itself would be amazing. You're just locked in time. You're just stiff your whole life. People look at you and you're interesting, even though you're not moving.
Awesome.
I think that's the best part of being a comic book. That's my fantasy.
Stanley.
Excelsior!
It's supposed to be. Is it Stanley Lee?
Excelsior!
I think Stanley.
Excelsior!
We're here, and I think Al Jaffe's here right now. I think he's signing somewhere. He's signing.
I actually am here for John Holstrom. This is for John to sign.
It's got to go.
John is the original.
Turn
Did
this
this
way.
album. It's got a thermos in it too. So it's pretty complete.
Excellent.
And Mom can tape your extra money here for cookies and milk.
40 years ago, I was a director of the educational division of King Features when Spider-Man came aboard, and that's what I have here because I want to sell it. I have every single week.
Oh my goodness.
And the color ones too. Now these, if you went on the internet and you try to buy this particular week, it could be anywhere from $50 to $75 because it includes
Other pages.
Sunday. They're all authenticated.
And they have the notes from that.
Oh yeah.
They have no. Oh, look at that.
Look at. You know what this is?
Look at that.
This is where Stan Lee.
Excelsior!
He said, "Wait a minute, I made a mistake on such and such a page." So he turns around and he repeats it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he repeats. Some of them are corrected. Some are corrected. Some are not. Here. So my fantasy is to talk to some dude in here who will buy the whole thing.
What is your comic book fantasy?
I'm like an X-Men kind of guy, and I don't know if you like Game of Thrones at all. I love that shit. Eat it up. Read all the books.
Excellent.
And I love this stuff.
Question, sir?
Sure.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Keep on going.
If you were in one, or a hero yourself.
Captain America, what else?
Excellent. You're living your fantasy.
You got you, sweet goodie. That's it.
But that's an animated cartoon.
Sweet, wonderful, smooth.
What would you do with Natasha?
Captain Video, Master of Space, Hero of Science, Captain of the Video Rangers.
At noon, The Wonder Bar guest speaker was Ren and Stimpy co-creator Bob Camp.
I used to do caricature portraits at rodeos and fairs and stuff like that. Cool. I had a VW bus that I looked at, and Bart here knew me back in those days.
You're like a hippie.
I was a reasonable facsimile.
What years was that then?
It was in the 70s. Bart and I met in Provincetown. And there was a real snowball effect, creative thing going on there. People wanted to do really funny, weird stuff.
Yes.
That was the best part.
You know, I think that's where I first met you. I don't know if you remember this, but and I just now remembered it. I think I came out. I was a creative director for Nickelodeon, and I came out to LA, and the woman I was with, we took a little tour of the studio, and I think. Actually, I think the woman, she wanted to meet John, but he wasn't there, and so you gave us a tour of the place.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it all comes back now. Interesting.
My comic book fantasy is to make millions of dollars having to not draw comic books.
What is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? You might be asking the wrong person. I'm not super into comic books.
You started on a bad question for us.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your thing?
He's a big Star Wars fan.
So, Lord Vader, these dark chocolate M&Ms are a good idea, but we've decided not to join the dark side.
Can I ask you a question, Anakin? What is your comic book fantasy?
I don't have one. I don't believe in comic books.
Obviously, you're going to be a villain.
Well, not that one. I'm a good guy.
Yeah, you're actually a good guy.
Yeah.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Oh dear God, I can't even answer that one.
What do you want?
I'm sorry?
What is your comic book fantasy?
Comic book fantasy? Oh, maybe a world where Anakin didn't fall. Maybe a world where true love reigns. How about that? That's a good fantasy.
I'm not going to say.
You can tell me.
That's classified.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Blowing up Alderaan.
Blowing up Alderaan.
Chewbacca!
No idea, I don't really read comic books.
If you were a hero or a villain, what would you be?
I don't know. Big Star Wars, yeah. It's cool to be a TIE fighter pilot, man.
Now what's happening?
Uh-oh. It's Darth Steve. Use the Force, pizza.
Too late! I'm hit! I'm going back to Pizza Hut where it's safe! I don't think the Force was with me.
What are you?
I'm just a naked guy. I got a super penis, that's about it. No problem. Excuse me, sir. Damn it!
Yeah, I'm more into video games than comics.
Okay, Mario, destroy Mario. Okay, Mario.
But, yeah, I like Star Wars. Well, I like old Star Wars.
I give! I warned Jason not to mess with that Jedi. Obi-Wan, let him up before Jen smacks you. Jason, get back in costume. Let him. Stop making faces at Jason.
That's my thing, I'm a naked man.
Really? Who walks around dangling a big schlop?
My balls are showing!
They're not in the shot.
Riddle me this. Why is Lefty Grimes like a comic book shop?
I'm gonna say because he has issues.
Oh, alright.
My comic book fantasy? I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Hanging off. What's yours? I'd be Iron Man, most likely. Why? Because I got the body to build, clearly.
Batman.
Yeah? What would you do as Batman? Sleep.
I don't know. What would I do as Batman? Well, figuring he has all these mistresses, yeah. I'd probably bang them all. Vicky Vale, that girl with the French name, I forget her name. But yeah, probably bang the chicks first. Don't worry about the villains. They keep breaking out anyway.
I'd probably go Joker, just because he's unpredictable. He's psycho. He can just look at the drop of a hat and start going after people.
After lunch, I sent Jason and Lefty upstairs to scope out the second floor.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What is your comic book fantasy?
I don't have a comic book fantasy. I gave up on them a long time ago.
Would you be a villain or a hero?
I'd be an underground character. I'm not really into superheroes.
Like Robert Crumb character?
Yeah, Robert Crumb. Robert Crumb.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Tony Stark, I guess.
You would be Tony Stark?
No, be with Tony.
Be with Tony Stark. Nice, nice. How about you?
I'd be Kid Flash. The fastest man. Oh, wait. Not always a good thing.
Naked man. I am naked. I'm naked man.
Yeah, all right.
Can I ask about your outfit?
That's all I had today. It was laundry day.
You're kind of wearing your birthday suit.
Kinda. Oh, my balls are showing. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your comic book fantasy?
I like Iron Man.
Yeah? Would you be Iron Man or would you want to be with Iron Man?
I would lay with Iron Man.
Score!
Hit that!
Am I being filmed right now?
Yes.
Oh my god, this needs to end right now.
What would you do? What else would you do? You can tell me.
I don't know, I'm not really a nerd. I'm just here to support a nerd. I'm the nerd supporter.
Okay, that's good. That's good though. How about you? Do you have a comic book fantasy?
God, no.
No? Would you be a villain or a hero?
Villain.
A villain?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, typical. What would you do as a villain?
Kill everybody.
Kill them all!
Kill everybody? Everybody?
No mercy. Whoa, what are you smoking? Relax, we're indoors.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Thank you. What's your comic book fantasy?
Like what kind of fantasy?
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Probably a villain.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice. Anybody?
I think that'd more fun.
Yeah? Anybody in particular?
No, I'd probably just make up my own.
Nice.
But I feel like I'm twisted enough anyway, so I can't, why not just make up my own?
What would you do? What kind of stuff would you do?
I could do the typical take over the world.
Nice. You're evil.
I'm a girl. That's what we do. We're just naturally evil.
Attack of the 50-foot woman. Incredibly huge, with incredible desires for love and vengeance.
What is your comic book fantasy? Would you be a hero or a villain?
Probably a hero.
Really? Anybody in particular?
Spider-Man.
It's the new Spider Wars collection with Cyborg Spider-Man.
So that's my comic book fantasy.
Awesome.
Spider-Man.
Cool. Thank you.
Took me a second. My brain immediately went to sex. With women.
Well, this doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So. All right. Thanks, buddy. What? No! Get away!
That's my comic book fantasy.
Yeah, you have one.
Gosh, I don't know.
What kind of artwork? How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it for, I don't know, I've been drawing like obsessively for about like 10, 15 years.
Yeah?
But I mean, like, I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. I used to sneak in my dad's like workshop and read this like heavy metal magazines and
Nice.
Robert Crumb and all those.
A lot of inspiration came from that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your fantasy?
I just like cop out and say Kitty Pryde.
Hey, alright, good enough. We're shooting a little documentary.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. What's your comic book fantasy?
What is my comic book fantasy?
Yes.
Like my dream comic?
Yes, yes.
Let's see, if Fantastic Four, no, FF, with Zatanna. We're going cross-platform.
Nice.
Two favorite characters together.
What would happen? Don't lie.
Don't lie. Like I would lie about what would possibly happen. Who would be the enemy? Dr. Doom, obviously.
Awesome.
But maybe Zatanna and maybe the Watcher come together.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow. That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
I'm not even getting second looks with the penis, so this is actually really good. What's your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy? To make a steady living off of comic books.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Would I be a hero or a villain? That's a good question. I might just be a badass in between, you know, for hire.
Nice, nice. Thank you.
Unpredictable badass.
Like Punisher, kind of, almost, sort of.
A little bit. I don't want to use guns. I want to power them.
Okay. Nice, nice. Thanks.
It's the lazy man's way out.
What's your comic book fantasy?
Has to do with chicken soup.
Chicken soup?
Chicken soup.
What's chicken soup? What?
Because it's so delicious!
Wow. What's your comic book fantasy?
As far as what?
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Hero, definitely.
Yeah, what would you do? Or who would you be?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Nice. Nice. Awesome. How about you? What's your fantasy?
I would say I'd be neater. I'd probably be, you know, a dictator or something.
Oh, villain.
But not a bad one, a good one.
A good dictator.
Good dictator.
All right. Can I ask you a question, sir? What is your comic book fantasy?
I'll do just blow the whole world up with fantasy.
Damn you all to hell!
Page 1, Scott McCloud just blows up the whole world.
Thanks, Scott.
This planet will explode within 30 days.
Jen's only interview that day was with a top-named comic book star.
So Hulk, what is your comic book fantasy? Do you want to recommend?
Abort! Abort! Danger, Jen Osolinsky! Danger! Danger! Do not piss him off. Repeat, do not piss him off.
Senor Hulk, hand over your money.
Ain't no monster clown who is as lovable as ever loving Hulk.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
And now for something compliantly indifferent.
I would just like to have the power of persuasion to convince everybody in the world to get along. So if I can walk up and touch somebody and persuade them to do what I want them to do, that's what I would like to do. It's more like a dream than a fantasy. A fantasy you can live out, a dream you can't. So my dream would be to have the power of persuasion and tell everybody just to get along. That the world would be a hell of a lot better place. That's my dream. Jim Jimenez, Staten Island, New York. Peace to all.
Die, Spider-Man!
Wait! Look out for the pumpkin bombs!
Medic! Medic, I can't believe it. Oh my god, my friend got shot. Medic!
Comic book fantasy? Well, I don't know.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
In between. Somewhere in between. I'd walk the line. You want to be able, you know, you want to be too sure about me.
Nice, nice. Do you have a fantasy?
I would love to be the kind of villain's girl, you know, because they always seem to have the most fun.
Nice, nice. Anybody in particular?
I'm a big Harley Quinn fan.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
What's your comic book fantasy?
I don't have one.
The one I'm working on.
Nice.
It's you know, about her, except in a whole nother universe.
Nice.
The Grim Reaper's daughter.
Nice.
And she fucks shit up all the time.
Nice.
She's just stone cold killer.
Awesome, awesome. Do you?
It's reality.
Yeah. Comic book fantasy.
Yes.
Wow. Amazonian women everywhere. Everywhere.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Spears too. Everything.
What would you do with these Amazonian women?
Snoo snoo. Lots of snoo snoo.
Hey, kids! Wanna have some fun? Get yourself a set of the one, the only, original X-ray specs. Yes, X-ray specs. See-through walls. See-through clothes. See through the thinly veiled machinations of friends and enemies. X-ray specs. But wait, if you order before midnight tonight, you'll receive this 204-piece Revolutionary War Soldier set. Absolutely free. X-ray specs. Available only from Marvin Acme Products, a subsidiary of Stark Enterprise.
I love my X-ray specs.
My comic book fantasy? Getting paid every day to do it for a living?
How about if you're in the book?
If I was in the book? Invincibility.
Invincibility? What would you do with your invincibility?
Well, you'd be invincible. You could do it.
Comic book fantasy. I don't even know if that question makes sense.
Would you be a hero or a villain or?
Oh, what would I be? How about a hero?
Yeah? Well, who? Anybody in particular?
How about an anti-hero? Faust.
Faust?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
You know, Faust loved the damn thing.
Alright, here's some crazy stuff. Ever been in like traffic, like on the Garden State Parkway, and you just sit there and you can actually just like, I wish I could be like Magneto and just be like, just get the hell out of my way, and you can just start flying, you know, shit like that. That would be pretty cool.
Awesome.
I guess that's yeah.
He decided to fly.
And that's your fantasy too?
I actually don't fantasize about comic books or any comic book stories.
What would you be doing in this fantasy?
What's this for?
It's for my personal archives. I go home and watch videos. That's weird shit.
I think this conversation's ended.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
I wanted to give this away to the Ramones. They had there was a roadie I worked for, and he was Johnny Ramone's roadie. And this was supposed to be just had a kid, but I left the job. I left the production company by then. But this is what I wanted to give him. Maybe if I see him someday. Right now, I'm going to get it signed by John Holster.
Nice.
He did Screw Magazine and he did Punk Comics with Lakes McNeil. So that's part of Comic Con, dude.
Which character of X-Men would you be?
I don't know. I mean, I like Wolverine a lot, but I also like Gambit and like Cyclops. They're all so good. I would even be Rogue for a second, you know? Take everyone's powers.
Rogue can be touched for about 15 minutes, and I'm the guy that does it.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have a comic book fantasy? Would you be a villain or a hero? Thank you. I don't even know.
And Magneto, of course.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Would you be like a Batman or Iron Man or?
Not a superhero.
A villain?
A regular person.
Oh, regular person. Okay.
Find Thor's hammer and turn into Thor.
There she is.
Definitely
And what would you do if you were Thor?
save the world and Asgard at the same time.
Nice. Very good.
I could do that. I come with fantasy. It's Catwoman.
It's sexy as hell.
What would you do with Catwoman?
Probably bang her.
And then what?
Simple.
Would you marry her?
Yeah, why not?
What?
Sex all the time. Why not?
Banging Mary Jane.
Nice. Do you have a comic book fantasy, sir?
Nothing quite as good as that, but...
Hey, you never know.
I guess maybe go on stage.
Nice.
Tag team.
I don't have one.
Would you be a hero? Villain?
Oh, I would probably be a hero.
A hero.
Yeah, what would you do?
You know, what the heroes do.
I guess a hero.
I'd probably be a hero. When I play video games, I'm always a hero.
I'd be a hero.
A hero, I guess everybody would want to be a hero, I would guess.
Probably a villain. Me?
Yeah.
Somewhere in between.
Villain. You know what? There's probably a villain side of me that would come out.
Nice. Most girls say that.
I think that's why he's making a story, because he can sense it.
Oh, definitely a villain.
Villain, nice.
I wouldn't be able to have superpowers and be good. Just there's too much.
What would you do?
Well, you know, whatever I wanted. That's the point of it, right? Having the powers.
The bad guys always win.
I think I am a villain, but I want to be a hero.
A hero?
Yeah?
Yeah, am I a video?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Well, I am into his yang, so I would be the hero.
Here I come to save the day.
A hero. Most likely a hero.
A bad guy.
A bad? Oh, okay.
You know.
So you'd be a fun girl.
I always, for Halloween, I always dress up as something gory or ghoulish.
Anybody in particular?
Wonder Woman.
Batman, I guess.
Batman and Robin underwear by Fruit of the Loom.
Batman.
And what would you do?
Fight crime.
I've always been a fan of the X-Men.
Me too.
So maybe something mutant power. You couldn't really nail it down to one.
I-beams.
Batgirl.
Batgirl. Batgirl? Batgirl. Batgirl.
Okay.
So what is your cartoon fantasy?
I want to draw them.
You want to draw them?
I want to be an animator.
This is a job for
Creature from the Black Lagoon, maybe. That's what it's going to try to be this Halloween.
What would you do as a creature from the Black Lagoon?
Oh, you'd scare people. You know, make them go, huh? Maybe Captain America.
Captain America, I guess.
Awesome.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who chose to oppose his shield must yield.
Thanks.
Excellent. Would you do anything? Would you do anything specific, or
No.
just fly around in your invisible jet?
I run my invisible jet.
Awesome.
You know, keep the people off with the things on my wrist. You know, stuff
Awesome.
like that.
Cool.
Wear that great outfit.
Nice.
My lasso.
Nice. Great.
That's about it.
What would you do as Captain America?
Kill Deadpool.
Good luck. What is your comic book fantasy?
Altering the Scarlet Witch's reality.
Nice. What would you do?
I don't think that's fit for any sort of publication.
That's okay. You can tell me.
Well, you're going to tell everyone else. So we'll just stick with that.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Do you have a comic book fantasy?
No, I'm just here for fun.
What's your comic book fantasy?
I don't have.
Would you be a hero or a villain, or?
No comment.
How about you? Do you have a comic book fantasy?
I do. I told the other guy that I'd want to be like a Catwoman. But that'd take like years of work for me.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question, sir? Sure. What's your comic book fantasy?
Robert Crumb's girlfriend.
Oh my God, Robert Crumb! I'm a big Crumb fan. Awesome. With the big butt. Elena.
The thighs.
I used to read Archie comics, so I don't know. Maybe it was, you know, going back to Riverdale and being Archie's girlfriend, I guess.
I'd have to say having Superman's powers. I don't know that I'd do good with him, but I'd enjoy him.
Awesome. How about you, sir? Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Save the world.
What's your comic book fantasy?
I can't do it.
Answer the man's questions.
I don't feel like answering them.
Dressed like a condom. You have to answer him a question.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Villain.
Villain? You look like a villain.
Yeah. Do I? I look like a
Not you. You guys can fight each other.
Very good.
They're slugging it out in the middle of the ring. And there's a hard right to the jaw. And Blue Bomber's block is knocked off. His block is knocked off?
Sure, it's just part of the action with the world's only boxing robots, the Rock'em Sock'em Robots by Marx.
It involves girls and guns.
Excellent. What would you do with the girls with the guns?
I'd take over and destroy the better part of the world.
Can I ask you, sir, what's your comic book fantasy?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Yeah, the Invisible Lady.
I'm not tired. Give it all you've got, Mole Man.
What would you do as the Invisible Lady?
Show her stuff, right?
You couldn't see it, though. That's great.
Figure something out.
Jason posed for the cameras, getting El Pandito a bit of publicity. What is your comic book fantasy?
Be Spider-Man.
Oh yeah? Then why are you wearing a DC
Green Lantern shirt?
Because I don't have a Spider-Man shirt.
Traitor!
I don't have a Spider-Man shirt.
Something big is shaking from Chef Boyardee, and kids everywhere are getting into it. Spider-Man pasta. Whoa! Come on, let's show Mysterio the ropes, kid. Hello.
Hello.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah?
What's your comic book fantasy?
Oh, you've been asking everybody this question.
Yeah, I don't think I got you yet, though. Would you be a hero or a villain?
Villain.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Anybody in particular?
No, I'd probably just be an evil version of myself.
Oh, wow.
So.
What kind of stuff would you do?
World domination.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're a dominatrix. And swords.
Yeah.
Wait. Good girl.
What is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy?
Oh my God, don't get me started.
I basically just want to meet Cap and hang out with him and Tony from Iron Man and watch them be idiots together.
Nice.
Pretty much I want an Avengers sitcom where, you know, Tony and Thor and Cap are all trying to figure out everything.
Where's Gail Richards? Well, you'll never find her.
Ah, wise guy.
Finish him.
Oh, you want to swing something at me? Why you lame brain?
I'd have to say I would like to see, if it's involving comic books in general, mad scientists, I would like to see more crazy inventions.
Plug-in power and the most remarkable advance in erector sets since Gilbert decided to make them. The fully automatic Powermatic Programmer, which brings exclusive automation to Gilbert erector sets in 1963.
I was actually going to ask if we could trade, like, interview for interview.
Oh, sure.
We have a camera also.
Okay, very good.
But yeah, I guess my comic book fantasy, probably Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
Yeah.
And what would you do?
Everything, bro. What is that? What is that?
Do it all.
Mean? Yeah.
Very good.
You guys got it?
Good. Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Yes. To rule the world. All of it.
I like that. Thank you. Do you have a comic book fantasy, sir?
Yeah, I imagine a world where a Frank Miller comic doesn't have so much damn narration, where he doesn't repeat the same things over and over again, and where he takes his time with his pencils and inks. I miss the 80s and 90s. I miss Sin City. I miss good Frank Miller.
Hulk smash Frank Miller.
Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Wonder Woman.
Nice. And what would you do with Wonder Woman, may I ask?
What would I not do with Wonder Woman? Hack answer. I would totally be in the friend zone.
What is your comic book fantasy?
What?
What's your comic book fantasy?
I don't really read comic books, just here to hang out with my cousins. So.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Yeah, hero.
Yeah. Anybody in particular?
Like Batman.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Villain, of course.
Anybody in particular?
Villain. Hawkeye when he was a villain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Would you do anything specific or?
Kill Iron Man.
Oh, that's my man, Iron Man. Come on, man. Oh.
Tony Stark's gotta die some point.
I would be Iron Man. Tony Stark, very cool.
I don't have a fantasy, I have a son. And he's Cliff. You know who Cliff is?
No.
He's running the show.
Oh, okay.
It's his idea, his creation.
Cliff Galbraith is creator of the comic book Rat Bastard. He and his friend Robert Bruce started this convention a year ago at a local bowling lane, and it's grown with a rapidity to shame Steve McQueen's plot. Galbraith and Bruce have resisted the temptation to let it become just another hodgepodge multimedia con free-for-all. They kept the focus on comic books. Here and there, a smattering of sci-fi film frenziists crept in. But hey, what's a party without a few intergalactic gatecrashers?
Would you be a hero or a villain?
Would I be a hero? I'd I'd be a hero.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You look like a hero.
Yeah.
Then we went back to the Wonder Bar to see who was the next guest speaker.
Hi everybody, this is Al Jaffe, legendary.
This was Al Jaffe, legend of Mad Magazine. Jaffe and his cohorts at Mad exerted incalculable influence on my generation. Their witty, sarcastic humor helped set the tone of social awakening during the Vietnam War. They skewered a sitting president during Watergate. What? Me worry? Jaffe might be most famous for his fold-in back covers of Mad Magazine. Now here he was at the Wonder Bar.
I had a childhood that was somewhat unusual in Savannah, Georgia.
My family lived in Savannah, and when I was 6 years old, my mother got the notion that she would like to visit her family in Lithuania. It really turned into a 6-year trial, and I had some great adventures there, and one of the things that sustained me was that my father would save all the Sunday funnies and all the daily comic strips that I had been crazy about.
Ah, the Sunday funnies, that primordial stew from whence comic books evolved. A Bend-Aid-dotted four-color realm of dreams and whimsy, enchantedly delivered to our door each week. Better than church. My true religion.
Can I ask you a question? What's up? What's your comic book fantasy?
Right here.
There you go. And what is your comic book fantasy? Oh, now that's sweet. That's just sweet.
Enjoy it, right? In any way possible.
My comic book fantasy would probably be being able to fly.
Really?
Yeah.
Anybody in particular?
No, I mean just I want to be able to fly, and then I would probably grab Daryl from The Walking Dead.
Up and away.
I know he's not in the comics, but
Nice.
in my fantasy, he's in my comic book.
Nice. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? What's your comic book fantasy?
Can I ask you a question?
You can, but
What's with the cock? Is that your comic book?
I'm naked, man.
Okay. My comic book fantasy?
Yeah.
I mean, which would be anybody's to be f***ing Superman.
Superman.
Of course, why not?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, that's, for the time that you're a kid, that's all you want to be, Superman. And as you get older, all the other comics you read, everyone from the X-Men and whatnot, they all have different powers and whatnot. So you fall in love with different characters. But I think every little kid the first thing they always see is Superman. Is that f***ing big ass and that red kid.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's where it all starts. And anybody that denies that is full of shit.
Like, Superman's stupid. Who wants to fly, honestly? That's what they make planes for.
I would assume every straight male's fantasy would be to be f***ing Tony Stark and all the superhero shit.
Nice.
Because that dude's just rich and banging bitches.
Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel.
And Iron Man, all just a flame. He fights and fights with the counter race. Amazing armor.
I'd be a vigilante. I'd be Rorschach. Unapologetic, just f***ing wrecking shit.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Destro, I guess.
Nice.
My love.
Nice. What would you do? What would you do in your fantasy?
What do you think I would do?
I don't know.
My comic book fantasy is to get my comic book into every comic book store.
Cool enough.
That's probably what he looks like right now. That's insane, man.
Who would I be?
Who would you be?
Flash.
Do you have one? What was that?
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia. Awesome.
Favorite.
Awesome.
How about you?
Iron Man, of course.
Okay.
Iron Man. I love Iron Man. Thank you. Excuse me, can I ask you a question? What is your comic book fantasy?
Oh, I don't have one.
Would you be a villain or a hero or?
I like the one to. I like to
fight, you know what I mean?
And here is G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip. G.I. Joe has hands that grip.
G.I. Joe's 250. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is your comic book fantasy?
Don't have it. Not in comic books.
Well, if you were a hero, or would you be a hero or a villain? Neither?
This is the rugged G.I. Joe adventure team. At dawn, G.I. Joe heads across the desert in search of the mysterious missing mummy. Suddenly, an earthquake. No time to lose.
How about you? Do you have a comic book fantasy?
Now, the whole hero-villain thing is interesting to me because although I don't want to be evil, I think that women villains are more fun.
That's for sure.
They're more interesting.
Yeah.
So, speaking from a comic book's point of view, I'd probably want to be a villain because they have more fun.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Getting some great stuff.
I won't tell you the specifics, but it involves ectoplasm, nipples, razor blades, and assorted amounts of chocolate.
He's sick. He's got to be sick. Call a doctor.
I'm not going to start saying, yeah, I want to, screw a cartoon character, but that's a little...
Well, I've heard it all today. Don't worry.
Yeah. I bet you have. Certain people, yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What's your comic book fantasy?
I don't know what that means.
Would you be a hero or a villain?
I would be a hero.
Yeah? Anybody in particular?
Well, I'm dressed as Storm, but I think I would be... Actually, no, nobody in particular that I can think of.
What would you do as in your fantasy?
Well, I like the power of like flipping things over and teleporting too.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. How about you? Do you have a comic book fantasy?
No, I'm sorry.
Would you be a hero or a villain or?
I suppose I'd be a hero.
Yeah. You look like a good guy.
Thanks.
Thanks, buddy.
What is my comic book fantasy? That's
That I'd sell them all.
That he'd sell them all?
Super Guy gets clobbered. Ratman breaks his toe. And here's the worst one of all. Roger Ramjet gets beat up by a chicken.
I got a couple of strange looks, but nothing that's going to get me arrested, I don't think. But I'm all covered up. I made sure I covered up pretty well.
And then, Lefty ran into a bit of trouble.
Uh-oh. I hear whistling. Move that. Oh, okay.
What's the matter with you?
That's why I taped it up.
Well, that's why you shouldn't have it on at all. If I see you with it again, I'm actually going to lock you up.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I need to see your ID, too.
Yes. Sorry, sir.
What possessed you to do that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not attractive.
I'm sorry, sir.
All right. Make sure that doesn't come out again today. Okay? Edward, initial R, Romeo, last name Ryan. Golf, India, Mama, Echo, Sierra.
I'll be right back. I gotta put this away.
You're wearing an inappropriate costume here at the comic convention. He was advised the costume was removed.
Powerful, fully transistorized Dick Tracy two-way wrist radio is a real electronic instrument.
Make sure all the fellows get their A-OK Dick Tracy wrist radio so they can keep in touch. Over and out.
The one and only Dick Tracy wrist radio, wherever American toys are sold.
It seems to me Lefty's own personal comic book fantasy came true when Naked Man assumed a new identity as the Punishy.
Holy shit.
All right, you blighters, clear out. I've come to clean up Dodge City.
I am getting the f*** out of Dodge. Wow, I almost got arrested for wearing my penis. Holy crap, man. I am out of here. I am so out of here. I am getting the f*** out of this town, man. I almost just got arrested for... I don't know what the hell they would arrest me for, but... it's a costume.
Professor Platypus here to cite half a dozen charges on which Lefty Grimes could have been arrested. Disorderly persons, disturbing the peace, creating a public nuisance, public lewdness, endangering the welfare of children, bad taste, though that last charge can only be made by the fashion police.
It's kind of funny that a cop would be like, you know, that's a fake penis you have there. You better get rid of that. But it's a fake penis, and it's even covered with black tape. So, I gotta get out of here. I can't show my face.
His face? He says he can't show his face? I'm not sure that's the body part he should be worried about not showing. With Lefty on the lam, it was up to me, Jason, and Jen to cover the costume contest.
You want to break this up a little bit?
Dude, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Just once I'd like to work with people who don't give me a hard time.
Your only dream.
So what is your comic book fantasy?
What is my comic book fantasy? I wouldn't mind being marooned on an island for 5 years.
A clear case of TV skit sides.
I'll have to just say, check please, and getting the fuck out of here before I get arrested. I'm not going back. I'm not passing go. I'm not collecting $200. I am getting the fuck out of here. I just hope the cops ain't following me now. Like I'm such a fucking villain.
At this point, the subject, still within the jurisdiction of Asbury Park's officers, is suffering from a psychological condition known as testicular shrivelitis. Once afflicted, the subject's testicles shrink rapidly and vanish.
Well, I just had another Asbury Park cop follow me out of town. And I think maybe they're looking for the guy with the penis.
Get that guy with the penis! Don't let him leave town with the penis!
Yeah. I can only surmise this is some sort of Freudian stage, most likely brought on because the subject's own genitalia is tiny and woefully inadequate.
You couldn't ask for a better day. Very successful day.
Once he's safely out of Asbury, the subject exhibits an astounding recovery from his former condition. But once again, his balls are showing.
The cop was a fucking dick. But I think I have it all on tape, which is the fucking funny part about it. I think I have it on film. So actually, it might work out. And I think this is what Bob wanted. I think this is what fucking Bob wanted anyway. Fucking set me up. But hey, it all worked out because it was fucking great film there.
Comic book fantasy?
Tank Girl.
Tank Girl. No, I was just I guess. Like, I don't know.
Well, thank you anyway. Thank you very much.
Holy shit. Thanks, Bob. Thanks fucking lot, Bob. What a fucking day. Damn, that was close. That was the closest I've come to getting arrested in a long time. But I tell you one thing, if he was going to put handcuffs on me, I was not taking that fucking outfit off. Because I'm damn sure if you're going to arrest me with handcuffs on, I ain't going out with the fucking penis in the fucking cop car and let the cop explain to all his fucking cop buddies about how he arrested the guy with the penis that's bigger than his. What a fucking town. Look, they got fucking drug addicts and fucking murders in this town, so we're worrying about a fucking foam-filled penis? Really? You got murders, rapes, fucking drugs, you got fucking burglaries, and the Asbury Park police are looking at penises. He's worried, why are you looking at my penis? Why are the police looking at my fucking penis? I mean, I think the cop was gay. I mean, why would you look at somebody's penis and make an issue out of it?
That's a mouthful, Bob.
I mean, it's a fucking penis. You have a penis. We all have penises.
Based upon that last remark, we must assume the subject has never seen a woman naked. It appears very likely he confuses women with transvestites.
Why is it a big deal?
They'll think you gay.
And it was covered up. I had black tape on my penis. Ouch! I mean, there was nothing showing. And even if there wasn't black tape, it's fake! It's a fucking piece of fucking foam.
So what is your comic book fantasy?
My comic book fantasy, with me in it or character-wise?
Run it.
Okay. I would like a mixture of Jean Grey, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and if we're going to throw video game characters, then I want Melina and Deadpool. Mesh them together, and that is my ultimate comic/video game fantasy.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it was the nipples. I think it was the nipples that really, and the pubic hair that really made it offensive. Maybe.
Bud Abbott and Lou Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Because nobody complained. I did not get one complaint about my penis. I actually had a lot of people that complimented my penis today. So, the Comic Con turned into Comic Cock, as I almost got arrested with my cock. So it was very comical. The Comic Con with my comical cock. I'd feel terrible if I offended anybody. I don't think the police like penis very much. Next year we're going to come back and I'm going to dress up as a pregnant zombie that just had a miscarriage. And I'm going to drag my aborted fetus around, a bloody aborted fetus, with the umbilical cord attached. And I'll be dragging it through the crowd.
We're going to be calling the judges soon for the costume contest. Let's get our judges going. A few more minutes. Everybody who's in the costume contest, come on up here to get ready.
The last thing I want to do is offend anybody, especially the police.
Everybody hang tight. We'll be starting real soon. Calling all the judges to the costume contest.
Police have a problem with penis, then I'll just have an aborted fetus. So, from penis to fetus.
This guy is just f***ing nuts.
I want to know why the cop was looking at my penis. Any self-respecting police officer would not want to look at another man's penis. I don't understand what the fascination was with my penis. Well, first of all, you couldn't see my penis. But obviously he was staring at my penis. Why was he staring at my penis?
Can you pirouette for me? Turn. Give me a fashion turn.
The officer who likes penis, or who doesn't like penis, I don't know what he likes. I'm not sure what would make him happy, but it certainly wasn't penis.
So, you're saying the cop's not gay?
What did you do?
Don't ask. Something 5 times worse than you did, man.
After the costume contest, Jen headed home, and it was just me and El Pandito left. We decided to hear Alan Bellman speak at the Wonder Bar.
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Alan Bellman, and I'm an honorable roll meeting. It all goes way back to 1942, when most of you were not even a glint in your great-grandfather's eyes. I was all of 18 when I saw an ad in the New York Times. They wanted someone to do backgrounds on Captain America. I told my dad I'll go tomorrow because it was Columbus Day 1942. And it's a holiday that probably closed. No, he said, you go today. And we went back and forth. He won, I went. I got the job. I was hired by one Don Rico, who did the Young Allies. He took my work in, came back, and he said, you can start Monday. Now, about 2 weeks later, I see this young kid following Robert Solomon around. That young man was Stan Lee. Excelsior! Who was a nephew to Robert Solomon, who Robert Solomon was a brother-in-law to Martin Goodman. Everybody have this diagram down? And nobody said to me who my boss was. I didn't know who I worked for. I mean, when I reported on Monday, I came in and Don Rico introduced me to Sid Shores, who took over Captain America when Kirby and Simon left. Behind him sat Vince Selection, who inked Captain America. And on the other side, there was Frank Giacoya, Frank Karen, just a bunch of other guys, Ed Wodioski. Like we artists of the illustrators, we copied guys like you guys wouldn't know, but Terry and the Pirates, and of course Flash Gordon, you know, and you know, work that was really, these guys were good. We cut them out and called it swipes, you know, and when we had a certain drawing to do, we looked through, oh, that's a good shot, let's see how he did it, and we did it our way. The first script they gave me on my own was called The Patriot. He disappeared there when the war ended, and but I worked on I said like Captain America, Human Torch, Submariner.
The guy interviewing Alan Bellman is Marvel writer-editor Danny Fingeroth. What a lineup they'd assembled here. Legends mingled with up-and-comers, giving patrons a wide spectrum of perspective on the comic book field. Due to Lefty's wardrobe faux pas, we'd missed the Wonder Bar session with cutting-edge artist John Holmstrom. Jason and I called it a day after Alan Bellman's talk, so we also missed Marvel artist Herb Trimp, who'd appeared on stage with editor Jim Salacro. And those sessions concluded with underground cartoonist Jay Lynch, famous not only for his work in comics, but as a designer of wacky packages and Garbage Pail Kids stickers. It all served to remind me of what a wild ride American media had been during my lifetime. Comic books began before I did, at first divided between superhero stories and funny animal tales. They evolved into a platform for science fiction and then horror, setting paranoid conservatives into attack mode bent on annihilating the industry. But comic book persevered. True, it got mushy for a while, but found strong footing with the superhero revival, always maintaining room for westerns, war stories, and the unrestrained insanity of artists like Basil Wolverton. Marvel and DC weren't the only game in town. Gold Key offered a wide range of genres, translating our favorite movies and television shows into paneled pages. Along with Dell Publishing, they brought us paper versions of beloved characters we could previously see only on the screen. These were my earliest art instructors. Comic books taught me how to draw. They tutored me in the fundamentals of story structure. I consumed them all with a passion, but most notably, Harvey, all the Archie titles, and Gladstone. By the late 1960s, alternative underground comics found a loyal audience, pushing the envelope on taste and subject matter. Warren Publications stepped in with a diabolical laboratory full of sinister black and white titles, often aimed at monster movie fanboys. Other publishers cliff-noted classic literature for a young audience. Comics were used as educational aids, as political platforms, for religious agendas, to further cultural change, for ecological messages, as biographies and memoirs, for all sorts of things, eventually taking part in the sexual revolution. And Jen makes a valid point about this exploitive portrayal of women by the industry. Is Spider-Woman represented differently than Spider-Man? Or does possession of extraordinary powers endow female characters with inequality among their male counterparts? time finally came when superheroes broke the racial barriers. A new breed of writers and artists seized the opportunity to explore hot topic social issues. The medium thrived through the 1970s, despite occasional bouts of inanity. The art form evolved, took bigger risks. At times, it blew our minds. In the 1980s, groundbreaking stories elevated the medium to unexplored heights. The establishment recognized comic book, aka graphic novels, as a true art form. The number of publishing companies swelled. As for the fans, we eagerly watched the ongoing sagas of our favorite characters unfold, as each new writer and artist put their unique stamp upon their stories. Entertaining thoughts. Inspired by catchphrase paradigms to infinity and beyond, I emerged from an age geared to imagining in hyperdrive, an age where the impossible is in our grasp. We fly like Kirby's new gods. We fly on pages reflecting our longings and aspirations. Incubated in a pop culture whirligig of mass-produced memorabilia, we consume dreams and fantasy. Our modern mythology imbued with a science that is no longer fiction. The tangibility of theoretical cannot elude us. Comic books are a part of our lives. With success comes a certain respectability, and I hope comic book creators never lose sight of their roots. So long as there are events like this, I doubt they will.
It would be a shame for this cultural landmark, such an important part of the Jersey Shore's heritage, to be closed. I don't know why Bruce Springsteen doesn't just cough up the dough for a new sprinkler system. It's just chump change to a big star like him. You're not the boss of me, Bruce Springsteen, you cheap bastard. Anyway, please help us save the Grand Arcade. Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, a penis.
I'm in Jersey living fine, with the turnpike on my left. Rock sewage flows like wine, construction's made me deaf. I'm a victim of the crime, orphan, forlorn, and bereft. But now I know it's time to sing the line, that's next. When you go down to the shore, it's a harbor beach of sound, and one good friend is worth a reach around. That's just the way it is when life is getting down. We can hang out on the street, all this reach around town. Reach around town. Oh yeah, it's the reach around town. Reach around, reach around, reach around. Take it clear on. Taking it back, clear on. Please don't misunderstand, I don't mean any harm. This artist has to live with El Pandito on his arm, like a tattoo around the soul, or a chicken a la part. If we'd all just reach around and take each other's hand, we could live well in this reach around town. Live swell in this reach around town. Feet smell in this beach around town. Oh hell, life's a beach around town. Oh, reach around town. Reach around town. Reach around town.
operate a Remco movie and drive-in theater.
Your Honor, I don't even know Bruce Springsteen, and I would never say such awful things about him. This entire libel suit is arbitrary and capricious.
That's enough. I'm going out and play.